We're live for show for you guys tonight. I'm Doug, Mikey V. This is Bourbon N Ball. We're talking hottest, coldest hitters. We're talking some really good buy low, sell high guys. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned. What better way to spend your Friday night than right here with me? I'm Doug. I'm coming to you from Foxborough. This is my lifelong friend, Mikey V, coming to you from Clearwater, Florida. This is Bourbon N Ball. And, of course, it's Friday night. Let's talk some baseball. Let's sip some bourbon. And let's have some fun, right? First show live. We can take questions. Good Q&As. But let's just hop into it, right? Let's talk about some of the hottest and coldest fantasy players of this past week, past 7 days, and we'll hop in. So there they are. Love the fire. Love the very
animated.
Exactly, right. I feel like I'm there in the fires with them. They're all laughing, having a good time. Some familiar faces, some new faces. Let's just go over the hitters first. The first two guys. I'll give some stats. I'll give some honorable mentions. Mikey V, you come in there. You can break it down for us. So I do have, first and foremost, you have Matt Chapman, who had an amazing week. He's 62.8% owned. Look at this. 6-11 on the week, 4 home runs. One was a grand slam, 14 RBI in the week, 5 runs, 2 strikeouts. Didn't have a stolen base, but got you 50 points anyways. 8.3 a start, which means every time he played, he got you at least 8 points in a points league. I mean, this is just a facade. I mean, he had 6 home runs he has 6 home runs on the year. 4 came from this week. He had 146 total points. 50 came from this week. So obviously it was a season week is what I would say that was, because I don't think it's going to happen very often for him. He had a game in Milwaukee. He had 3 games in Chicago, and then he had 3 games at home versus the Nationals. Most of those came against the Cubs and Nationals. So do what you want. I say it's more of the pitching that he faced as opposed to him being the hitter that he is. And then on the other side of that, you got Cardinals outfield DH, first baseman Alec Burleson. We always talk about him. He's 92.7% owned. I mean, God, 320, 4 homers, 6 ribbies, 9 runs, 2 strikeouts, no stolen bases, 38 points, 6.3 a start. He had a game at home versus Texas. He had 3 games at home versus the Reds, and then 3 games in New York versus the Mets. All really great matchups. I'm pretty sure we had him on the cast talking about this Cardinals lineup as a must-start lineup. This is why. Competition's not that good, right? Some honorable mentions, though. Some actually really surprising honorable mentions. You got Luis Garcia with the Nationals. He gave you 34 points the last 7. Dylan Lyle from the Nationals and Bryce Eldridge with the Giants, 32 points. Nick Kurtz and Jack Caglione, from Kansas City. I'm just not used to saying his name. That's kind of why I just blurred it. He gave you 31 points. And then ending it for the A's, Tyler Soderstrom with 30 points. So, Mike, what surprises you out of that list?
I mean, it's obviously going to be Matt Chapman, right? I mean, who would have thought Matt Chapman was going to score 50 points in a week? That's just the guy that we never talk about. We talk about that Giants team on kind of how sluggish they are, really have been so far to this point this year, except Luis Arias. But yeah, Matt Chapman, pretty much outliner week, like you mentioned. Very, very surprised. I mean, awesome week. If you started him, you like slam dunk. That's great. But, the MO on Matt Chapman is, a lot of strikeouts do come with him. He can hit you power when he is really good. I mean, we saw it in his early days in Toronto. It's just never recaptured here, and even in Oakland as well. But he never really recaptured that at this point yet in San Francisco. But, I mean, great week so far. Alec Burleson, I mean, I had this guy circled, all year. I mean, we've been talking about him since April. The guy is just a ball player. If you had 9 Alec Burlesons in the lineup, I'd be pretty happy. That's just the kind of prototypical baseball player that he is. He just kind of always hit you for average, hit some pop, get you some stolen bases here and there. Just an awesome guy. Also flexible first base outfielder. He's in 3 or 4 out of my leagues, Doug. You know that. Big up for him. The other big popular name that we talked about early in the year, maybe as a little sleeper, but hasn't really done much, is Dylan Lyle. I thought he was going to be a great categories guy because he checks off all the boxes with the average. Home runs, RBIs, runs. He got some stolen bases in there too. He's got some speed. Now it's starting to come together. This Washington Nationals team, Doug, one of the best in the league in offense. Like Luis Garcia Jr., like you mentioned, James Wood is breaking out, obviously. C.J. Abrams having a great year. It's just kind of an interesting lineup. It's not really the first team that you think about when you think offense, Major League Baseball. But when it comes to some of those numbers, they're all there. So it's a very unique team, like we said. Both those guys are on that list. And then, like the last but not least, Tyler Soderstrom. Man, finally. Is he back, Doug? What do you think?
I think he's back. Listen, we're huge fans of the A's. I want to say Oakland A's, but it's the Vegas A's now, right? I think it's only a matter of time. You know, we talk about Jacob Wilson. Talked about him earlier. Me and you offline. He's coming back. Like I think it's a boost to that lineup. Obviously, Rooker's not the Rooker from years ago, right? And he's also day to day, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But you got Jacob Wilson coming back. He sets the tone for that lineup. He's got, almost batting 300. He's got sneaky pop in there. I mean, he's not going to wow you and hit you 30 home runs like a Lindor would for shortstops, but he'll still get you 15. Nothing to laugh about. I mean, he's a solid fantasy contributor that doesn't strike out. It's a fun A's lineup. I think at least 3/4 of that lineup is owned. I mean, I can go down that list and tell you. I mean, you got Shea, Kurtz, Soderstrom, Wilson, Lawrence Butler at some points does play pretty good. He's very streaky. Cortez, outfield, he's all right. He's not too bad. I mean, It's a fun lineup. I like it. And, not surprising to see those guys on this list. That's for sure. Matt Chapman, on the other hand, it's a little surprising. Because, Matt Chapman isn't – we went over his stats. He's doubled most of his output he had for the entire year in just his last 7 games. So it's more of just a fluke than something that I would pick up and start every single week on and week out.
Yeah, I mean, daily leagues, you can write out the hot streak, but from a week-to-week standpoint, I don't know. There's probably many, many better options. If you're stuck with Matt Chapman, that sounds like bad drafting or, just kind of a little bit of mismanagement, a little bit. But, hey, like I said, write out the hot hand while you still can, right?
All right. So let's talk pitchers now, all right? And there's honestly no surprise to see the number 1 overall pitcher in fantasy for at least the last 7 days, okay? You got Rays starting pitcher Drew Rasmussen, only 87% owned. Why he's not 99 to 100 is beyond me. Listen to this, man. 2-0, 14 innings pitched, 22 strikeouts, 1 walk. 1 walk in 14 innings, no earned, 58.72 points in a points league. Come on, man. Crazy. The Tampa Bay team is a very underrated team fighting for first. Listen, first start, he was at Miami, 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, then home versus Boston, 7 innings, 13 strikeouts. This is why we always say with a lot of our must-start lineups, I mean, if you're playing the Boston Red Sox, you might as well just start everybody you can because the Boston Red Sox, they're without a healthy Garrett Crochet, it's really tough to kind of play. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not a good pitching rotation, even with the moves they made. And then on the other side of that, you got Brandon Young. I don't know, only 7% owned. If you started him, man, you should have a podcast. 2-0, 13 in the 3rd innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 earned, 42 points. He was at Toronto. He went 6 in the 3rd, 3 earned, 4 strikeouts. Home versus Seattle. 7 innings, no earned, 5 strikeouts. And then a couple honorable mentions here, right? You got Reed Detmers for the Angels, 30 points. You got Jacob Latz from the Rangers, another game that came out of nowhere, 29.4 points, 2 wins. He's a relief pitcher. So chances are you're really not going to see him on this list too often. they were just relief pitching wins. But to get 29 points as a relief pitcher, that's pretty good. Pretty good week. Peter Lambert, the Astros, Foster Griffin both gave you around 27 points. And then Bryce Miller, Christopher Sanchez, Jacob Mizorowski, all around 26 points for the week. So kudos to any of you guys that own some of those guys and started them, because chances are you probably came really close or did win your week because of those matchups.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, Drew Rasmussen, really just breakout year, AL Cy Young candidate this year, really just continued to perform for Tampa, really stabilizing their rotation, continuously, having these 7-inning starts where they really do need them, just because, like we discussed offline before, like it's like, hey, like Tampa Bay, when they're struggling, it's part of their pitching. Now they have Griffin Jacks opening up games. Shane McCullahan's taken a little bit of a step back, in his first full year now, coming back from his injury. So there's other things that are happening in Tampa, but Drew Rasmussen always performs when he goes out there. So it's just good to have a guy like that. Like we always talk about those aces, kind of just those guys that you can just trust. He's turning into that. Also from a fantasy perspective as well. So continue just to start him. I feel like whoever he plays against, unless it's like one of these, big elite teams, but obviously you're probably going to still put him out there because he just pitches well against anyone who he goes against. So just probably a great draft steal. Probably had some guys, circled him on the boards early, but just a great value pick there. And like you said, out of nowhere, Brandon Young, I don't know where he came from. We've never talked about him, but it's great for the Orioles because they do need that relief. Their starting rotation's been kind of meh so far. Shane Bass has been up and down, obviously. So for Brandon to come in and just do his thing, I mean, do you think it's going to last, Doug? What's your take on young Brandon Young here?
It's crazy because he's not really crazy young. I want to say he's like 27.
I think I saw that too. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, ride the wave. He's one of those guys, like I said, I mean, he's only, 7% owned in leagues. Not a guy that I would pick up and start every week. It's just a really good week for him. It's a great story for the Orioles. It just doesn't – there's nothing to make me go out and pick this guy up and start him. That's all there is to it, And that's what happens a lot of times in fantasy. You have these guys that have breakout weeks. People pick them up. They start them the next week, and what happens? They fall on their face. Boom.
6 earned runs, 2 innings, right? We've seen it 1,000 times.
Consistency is what wins you your leagues in any, whether it's baseball, football. That's what wins you your league. And there's really no book written on Brandon Young. So the consistency, you really don't know what you're getting right now anyways.
Exactly. Except unless you're the last 2 names on that list, and Mizorowski and Christopher Sanchez. I mean, talk about 2 studs, huh? Just continuously just.
I love Miz. I think he's a great story. I mean, he's pitching lights out right now. I think he's got 2 innings, 5 strikeouts, no hits. At some point, I think he will be limited. This is his first full year. He's not going to go 180, 200 innings. Let's just be honest, especially if they have a chance for the playoffs. There's no way that's just going to happen. It's just not. They're going to either limit him, especially, let's just say you got a month left in the season. You're in first place by 8-9 games. You're feeling really good. Obviously toward the end of the year, you're playing matchups that are within your division. And it's a kind of not a horrible division to be in because it's just not – it's competitive, but it's competitive because not everybody is good. You know what I mean? It's like they're all kind of just flat.
They're all mutts. They're all mixed.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's going to be limited at some point, and that's what would scare me as a fantasy owner because he's there for you now, and he's going to get you to the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. This guy is going to take you there. But once you're there, you're going to have to maybe look around because he might not show up, unfortunately. I mean, we all know how it is with these guys. They're just – that's just how it is with young guys, But he is the future, and I think he's going to be great. Christopher Sanchez, that's another story. Listen, I think he's gonna come back down to earth at some point. When? I don't know, but I do think he will. It's what he's doing right now is just you can't it can't be maintained. It just can't. He's got to fall back down.
Here's a great transition for you. Speaking of can't maintaining, we got Tyler in the chat tonight. Our boy Tyler, and he's saying Ryan Weathers is killing it for him right now. Now Ryan Withers, we know about Ryan Withers. He's been around the block for a little bit now. He's played for Miami, right? Now he's in New York. Do you think Ryan Withers is going to continue this pattern here? I think he plays for a great team, but
he's getting crushed right now.
Yep, I saw New York. Yep.
Yeah, I think Springer.
That is him on the mound.
Okamoto hit a 2-run shot. Springer got a 2-run shot. So I think, I think he's an odd man out in that rotation once it gets healthy. Once Max Fried comes back, I think he's the odd man out, and that's just how it's going to be. I think his role is going to be more for a limited, maybe long inning relief type guy, which kind of was almost his role with Miami. I think they took him out of that starting role for a little while and had him a long relief. I think that's what they're going to do in New York. I think it can be successful. I think it's a great story for him. It almost like resurrected his career going to the Yankees. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he's going to get exposed at some point. You know, you look at these guys, you look at their track records, and it's unmaintainable, some of the numbers that they have, you know. And kind of just to point it, just such a good year Ryan Weathers has, you know. I mean, the guy gave up 5 earned. His ERA is still low 4. You know, it's not crazy high. So I'm there. I'm with you. I think a lot of this stuff, you need to look at the big picture, and you need to see if it's maintainable and if it's consistent within their career. Ryan Weathers is not. Brandon Young, I don't know. I don't think it will be. Miz, he'll get shut down. Christopher Sanchez, he'll get back down there at some point. Just a matter of when. That's all.
Yeah, especially with the Miz part too. Like we talked, you know, there's a bunch of guys that you can mention that are young coming up. We talked, you know, Eroy Perez before. We like to talk about Max Mayer. There's like a bunch of young guys that are developing, right? And these guys, like a Jacob Rizorowski, is in this very early development stage. You know, really starting to really build up that strength, to continuously build up that condition to go up to these, you know, 180, 190 innings. But like you said, you can't expect him to do that this year. If you get 160, 170, I think that's plenty. I think that's plenty of work.
I think you're going to get about 160, to be honest with you.
I think 160 is, I think, the number. I think that's about that. And then, you know, you got to put the element of a playoff push in there as well, because they are one of the better teams in that division. So
now here's my only thing that would scare me about that is look at Paul Skeens. Unhittable last year, this year, different story.
Mm-hmm.
You think Miz is going to come back and he's going to be hittable next year? You think maybe the adjustments will be made by the batters when they go in there, and they might be able to knock him around a little bit like they're doing to Paul Skeens right now?
Yeah. I think there's going to be some film. I think that always happens. Like, we know that. And I just think between Miz versus Skeens, I think Miz's fastball is much better than Skeens, where he can rely on it a little bit more. So if that can just maintain and then he can locate well, you know, he's still going to be a very good pitcher regardless. You know, I just like Skeens is. You know, we're kind of nitpicking at Skeens a little bit. He's still a very top 5 pitcher for sure. You know, and day out. But it's just the points. You know, we talk about fantasy, and that's what it comes down to. And you know, we talk about the teams that these guys play for. Like, you know, example, Ryan Withers, he plays for the Yankees. Yeah, he's going to get a couple extra wins in there. So he is going to get, you know, maybe 20, 30, maybe even 40 extra points for starts that he maybe got no decisions or even losses on. But like a guy like Miz is still going to continue to produce, I think, regardless, once adjustments have been made next year. I still do.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think, I mean, you might be watching history tonight because he's got 3 no-hit innings, he's got 8 strikeouts, and he's got 32 pitches. So who knows what's going to happen? I mean, 8 strikeouts and 3 guys are stuck. Now, let's flip the script and let's look at some of these colder guys in the last 7 days. Mm-hmm. Again, not really some surprises, maybe a couple. But we'll talk hitters, Mike. You can break them down, and then we'll do it again, and we'll bring it back with the pitchers. Okay. So first and foremost, you do have Red Sox outfielder Jared Duran. He's 80.4% owned. Hit a $150 for the last 7 games. No homers, a ribby, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts, a stolen base, gave you 0 points. 0 points. And there were pretty favorable matchups, I guess, for some of them. He did play at home versus the Orioles for a game, 3 games at Yankee Stadium, 3 games at Tampa, playing the Rays, but just a rough week. I mean, you're talking about someone who can give you more points off a bench. Same thing with Blue Jays' first DH, Vlad Jr., right? He's 99.6% owned. Man, I'll tell you, if there's an overreaction based off of how someone does in the playoffs, baseball is the biggest sport that gives you overreactions with fantasy when it comes to players performing in the playoffs versus the following year they're drafted. Great story, former MVP, Corey Seager. Overdrafted. Tons of leagues, even though he's injury prone, even though he's older. Look at him, right? Same thing. I think Vlad Jr. might be able to fall in that category. He didn't even hit 100. He hit 95, 0.95, no homers, 2 ribbies, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, no stolen bases, gave you 4 points. Hit a game in Atlanta versus the Braves, 3 games at home versus the Orioles. You thought he could have probably done something there, at least a home run. And then 3 games at home versus Philly. Honorable mentions, again, Austin Riley, Mike Trout, 4 points. Austin Riley, we're done with him. Manny Machado, Kento Marte gave you 5. And then Nico Hoerner, we were talking about offline, 6 points. Just hasn't been the same since he got hit in the head with a fastball about a month ago. I don't even think he's hit. It might be hitting around 200. That's not the type of production you want to see out of one of your top 5 first basemen that went off the board in fantasy.
I mean, as of last night, his OBP was OPS. Excuse me, geez. It was a 6.45. It's like for the season, and he was so good in April. I mean, he was red hot, but like you said, he got hit in the head, and he has not been the same. So just something to monitor. It's just kind of been tough scene so far for him. But back to the top of the list though, Jared Duran, biggest disappointment so far, I think, for a lot of fantasy owners. I think a lot of guys thought, hey, I'm going to draft him 5th, 6th, 7th round, get my number 2 outfielder, has a ceiling to be a low-end number 1 outfielder. And so far to this point, just hasn't happened yet. Just has not happened yet. Hopefully he figures it out very, very soon because, the Red Sox need some type of trade bait, coming up to this trade season. So he's going to be one of those names. It's better if he's playing better than what he's been playing lately. So as a whole, he needs to be playing better. Vlad Guerrero, like you said, the whole playoffs has been, the talk of the town, with how he performed and kind of what he brought to Toronto in October. And then this year, the power's gone. Let's just call it for what it is. He has not hit a lot of home runs this year. He's not that 40 potential home run guy this year. If you get 25 out of him, I think this year, that's probably the best you're going to get at this point. He's an average guy. He doesn't steal a lot of bases. This year, I'd say he's, out of that top 5 talk right now when it comes to first base position. There are a lot of other good options out there right now. So I'm not saying you're going to bench Vlad Guerrero, but you're probably going to put him into a utility spot. And, there's until he starts hitting, and he's a professional hitter. We've seen it. We know what he's capable of. But sometimes you just have to be a little bit patient. And this year, you have to be patient with Vlad Guerrero. It's a little rough this year for him. So did you mention Austin Riley? Did you mention Austin Riley?
Believe it or not, that man is still owned in 76% of leagues. Why? I have no idea why.
I do not understand that. That is tough. That is tough. I mean, Austin Riley, everyone has that big, hey, this is what we were, 4 years ago. I'm going to hit 30 home runs every year for you guys. I'm going to play 160 games. And, man, it just hasn't happened yet. And we were Austin Riley guys, Doug. We were big Austin Riley guys.
He kind of did me dirty. So I had him that 40 home run year. Was that 3 years ago now? Or maybe
might have been longer.
Jesus. But then I redrafted him the next year, and then just a lot of strikeouts. Tons of strikeouts. The power was still there, but it wasn't nearly as what it was. I mean, let's just call it what it was. It was a career year. I don't think he's ever going to have another year like that.
Yeah.
Guys like that, the guys that strike out a ton, the only way they're owned in fantasy baseball is if they do enough to negate the strikeouts and points in any type of format where you're negatively impacted by a strikeout. So, for instance, De La Cruz, 222 strikeouts a couple years ago. However, 30 plus home runs, 30 plus stolen bases, top 5 shortstop. There you go. Okay. Look at who else? Who else you want to look at? Pete Alonso. 180 plus strikeouts, 30 plus home runs, right? 100 plus ribbies with the Mets. You're doing enough to negate all that. Now, when that's not happening and that's not working for you, when you're not stealing bases, when you're not hitting home runs, you're not doing anything in fantasy. And unfortunately, that's what you see with some of these players. You're seeing this with Austin Riley, where he's not hitting home runs, but he's still striking out at the same clip. That is why his average per game isn't 2.8, 2.9 like it was 4 years ago. It's 1.7. And let me tell you, 1.7 is not startable. It's not rosterable. Free agents can give you 2.2 a start. Those are the ones you want to put in there. It is what it is with him. And unfortunately, you'll always have people that will say, well, the potential's there. The potential's there. Well, let me tell you, does potential win you fantasy matchups? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. What wins you fantasy matchups is going out and performing. And unfortunately, he's just not doing that. So it's time to cut the ties. Time to move on. That's all there is to it.
Nope. You got to make that decision. You got to stick with it. That's it.
Now, let's talk pitchers, because I know you're a big fan of the Woo Man himself. There he is right there. Right? Now, unfortunately, he's just not having the year he had last year. In my opinion, is because, it was unrealistic. I think 90% of his starts were quality starts last year. Insane number, especially in leagues that give you points for quality starts. That's a great trait to have, But this year, it's just not there. And I think maybe it just might be an off year. He just might be taxed, for what he did last year. That was a great performance. You got Mariners starting pitcher. We're talking about Brian Wu, 99.1% owned. He had a rough week. 0-2, 11 in the third innings, 11 strikeouts, a walk, 12 earned. Negative 5.56 points. His first start was at Detroit versus the Tigers. His second start was at Baltimore versus the Orioles. It was tough. Right? And then you had Pirates starting relief pitcher Braxton Ashcroft. Great story. Gave you negative 3.6 points. He went 0-1, 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, no walks, which you like to see, but he gave up 6 earned. That was in Atlanta, so I think that was more of how good the Braves are versus how bad he's been. Didn't pitch bad tonight. He's not in the game anymore, but with 5 innings, gave up 2 earned. I think he had about 5 strikeouts or so. Not a bad performance. It's just offense couldn't pick it up for him against Sandy Alcantara. What are you going to do, right? And then you got some honorable mentions in there. You got Nate Eovaldi and Freddie Peralta. They gave you about negative 3 points. Kyle Harrison, who's been a really good story, he gave you negative 2.8 points. Chris Sale gave you a 1.7, and Kevin Gausman gave you 3.4.
Yeah, I think the biggest outliner is Brandon Wu, right? Off year this year, just not very good. Hasn't been performing well. It's just not realistic, like you said, to think that he was going to do what he did last year. Incredible last year. Cy Young candidate, he was a stud. I think it's taxing also as well. He didn't throw that many innings before ever in his career. So that was a career year, to this point. And you have to think to yourself, there's going to be some regression a little bit, of just getting stretched out for that long and now going into this year. And he might be fighting suits and things too. Don't forget, he got injured at the end of last year as well. So I don't know if something's going on, still lingering. Who knows? There's could be something else there to that, something to at least look out for. And then, like we said, Braxton Ashcraft did get rocked last week, did not pitch well, 6 earned runs, a lot of runs given up. He's pitching today. Doug, do you have an update?
Yeah, like I said, with 5 innings, gave up 2 earned. He's out of the game now. He does have 4 strikeouts. So we got to get no decision. I think that was more of the offense. He went up against, like I said, Sandy Alcantara. So, he's out of the game, but he didn't get you a loss. He didn't really crush you. So there's positive signs with that outing. But you'd hope that offense would have scored a couple more runs against Sandy, unfortunately. Yeah. The other Sandy, the Dr. Jekyll Sandy, who has a quality start, gave up 2 runs and 5 strikeouts, he showed up today.
That guy showed up. All
He
right.
did. Yeah, the high, not the Jekyll.
All right. So Braxton Ashcraft, I would say a little bit of a bounce back. We'll call it a little bit of a bounce back. Some of the other names on the list, like you said, Nita Baldy just hasn't been doing it. Talking about regression, he's had a regression year so far to this point this year. Just not playing up to snuff right now to this point. You mentioned Chris Sale, right? I mean, it wasn't like he pitched terrible at the same time. It was against the White Sox. It was a great matchup, right? We were going back and forth a little bit. That actually had some pretty good magic at the end of that game. I think that was the Brandon Montgomery walk-off. So that was cool moment. But and I think that was the Acuna injury as well that same night. I think that was the same night. But yeah, I think he's fine. He's bouncing back. He's still throwing hard. He looks fantastic. He's Chris Sale. Nothing's wrong with him. You put him in your lineups every single week. But, from the other two featured guys here, from Brandon Wu and Ashcraft, Wu I'm worried about. I'm definitely worried about Wu.
No, I would be too. Like I said, I mean, you're looking at his workload from last year, and I'm sure that does have some kind of effect on him, and you might be seeing it now. Maybe you give him some time off and hopefully he rights the ship or skip a start. I mean, they have the rotation. They're a 6-man rotation right now. They don't know what they're doing with Luis Castillo in there. Bryce Miller, who's pitching lights out, his ERA's under 2. He's looking great. They're in a 6-man rotation. They have the ammo to skip Brian Wu if they really want to, which I think maybe it would benefit him. It really would. On the flip side of that, they also have the ammo to trade somebody if they want to make the push. And that offense hasn't been looking right. You think going out there, and it's good to see that Naylor is at least turning the ship the right way. But, you expected more from that offense. And, I mean, you look at Gilbert. He's been pitching really good the last 3 or 4 starts, and they should be wins, but they're not. It's crazy. You could say make the same case with the Braves. Chris Sale, guy goes in, gives you 6 innings, gives you 1 unearned run. 1 unearned. It's not even earned. It's unearned. So you don't even get negative points for it. And he gets the loss. I know. What a kick it's like it's tough, man. That Braves offense, if they could be more consistent. I mean, Chris Sale, I think, is something like 6-4 or something like that, 7-4. He should not have 4 losses. He should have 2. He should be like 7-2. But that offense, and I think losing Acuna, as much as I'm not a fan of Acuna, I think he is overdrafted. Again, a guy based off of his stats from 3 or 4 years ago when he had that amazing 40-50, 40-40 year. Losing him, he's still a presence in the lineup. You can't mistake that. He was a leadoff hitter. When he's not there, they don't know who's leading off. Michael Harris goes some days. Albies goes some days. Dubon goes some days. There's no consistency in that lineup. And that's when the lineup struggles, is when there's no consistency. And I think you're going to be seeing that for the next 3 weeks or however long he's out there. I don't know if this is a grade 1 like it was 2 months ago. If it is, he'll be back the minimum because he did hit the IL. If not, and it's a little worse, now you're talking about maybe a month. I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know, though, is it's not good for Sale.
No, I mean, the fact that he had the injury before and now re-injuring himself, I just feel like they're going to have to take the time to let him get healthy. They can't just rush this and have him come back. I'd say a month. I'd say maybe even after the All-Star break. I can see the week after the All-Star break. Just give him the time. You're in first place. There's no reason to rush this. Think long-term here if you're the Braves right now. That's how I would approach that if I was them.
No, I agree. That's the way you should do it. Like the Dodgers do with their guys. You're in first. No way to rush it. Don't rush.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the fun part. So this is the part where we talk about what we're selling, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Well, hold on a second. Why would I sell these people?" Listen, there's a method to the madness, is what I like to say when it comes to buying and selling. Believe it or not, in the real world, I am a senior accountant. So I am all about a return on investment, an ROI, which is what this segment is all about. Let me tell you the first guy I'm going to sell. And Mike, I can't wait to hear how you feel about the man, the myth, the legend that is PCA.
Wow, what a
There
picture.
he is right there.
What
Great
a pic-
pick. I wanted you guys to see this. Okay, look at this. Cubs starting pitcher. Cubs outfielder. PCA. Pete Crow Armstrong. 94% owned. Listen to the numbers for the year. 270, 257, 11 homers, 32 ribbies, 40 runs, 73 strikeouts, 15 stolen bases, 2.3 points a start, 157 points total. That is not the guy you drafted that early. I'm telling you, this is not this guy was drafted around the 6th round, depending on your league size. That's not the production you want from a guy drafted that early. Listen, this is why I say you can sell him. Okay. Last 7 games, 360, 2 homers, 2 ribbies, 5 runs, 7 strikeouts. So the strikeouts are there. Okay. 26 points, 4.3 a start. So he's giving you 2 more points a start. Every game you put this guy in your lineup, he gave you at least 4 points last week. Listen, his numbers on the year are not from someone, like I said, you drafted around the 6th. Free agent outfielders can give you better than 2.3 a start. He's finally starting to put together a good week. And if you're looking to move and get rid of the headache that's PCA, I think now is the time to do it. Not even halfway through the year, he's on pace for about 180 strikeouts, which would be a career high. He had 98 in 2024. He had 155 last year, and he had a horrible second half last year. 180 strikeouts on pace for it. I get the potential, but like I said earlier, potentials don't win you fantasy matchups. Points do. Do we all forget his second half last year? He barely hit 200. Or even the first few months of this year. He was struggling so hard the first 2.5 months. Listen, the Cubs offense is not doing him any favors. They haven't gotten going. Bregman's hitting around 250. And I'm sure that doesn't help that PCA, again, consistency in the lineup. He's moved up and he's moved down day after day. I think you want to move him. The value he has now because of the last week he's had, now's the time to do it. Because if you're going to hold on to him and he struggles the second half, you're going to say, man, you know what? I wish I traded him when he was hitting 360 and give him 4 points to start. Because you're going to hold on to him, and if he's going to be as bad as he was the first 2 months, at least now there's value. That's all I'm telling you. There is value with him right now.
There's 2 camps. There's the camp of I love PCA, and then there's the camp of I despise PCA. I tell you, Doug, I'm on social media. I go through these chats. There is no in between. There's no one that loves or does not hate him. But there's a lot going on with PCA right now. I think with PCA, I think the evaluation needs to be reset. I think we need to re-standardize what we expect from PCA moving forward here, because I think it's unfair to have this really high standard for him when in reality, he's really just starting to get going, right? We really don't know what the full scope of PCA can be. We know what his ceiling can be. We know he can be a 30-30 guy potentially. Like, he's done it in the past. He did it last year. He can do it. But we know about that second half. I think people are really tired of hearing about that second half of last year and the beginning of this year. They want to talk about the positive. So I'm going to try to meet them halfway here with this. I think the expectation for a PCA is more like a J-Rod. I think a J-Rod came out hot when he was young, and now he's like a 270, 265 hitter. He can get you maybe 20 home runs. He can maybe get you like a 20, 25 stolen bases when he's healthy. You know, I think that's more realistic than thinking that this guy is going to be the next god, because I think that's what some people expect out of him, especially like you said, Doug, where they drafted him. So if you're a guy that said, hey, I'm going to take a swing at this guy, and then he gave you headaches, maybe you have PTSD because you had him last year, and all of a sudden you got stuck with him this year, and you just can't get that sour taste out of your mouth. We have those type of guys too. But like the way he's been playing so far, I say these last couple weeks, this is a great opportunity to put him out there to see what you can get for him. And really, you got to talk this guy up as you try to sell him too. Remind your league mates, hey, this guy could potentially be a 30-30 guy. He looks like he's finally turned the corner. You want him? You're the first person I contacted, right? That's how you make the sale. So again, I think it's a fun name to talk about. I don't think we know what his high ceiling can be, but just don't forget what his floor can definitely be. And we saw that, and it's ugly. So if you have an opportunity, explore it.
And then there were a couple questions as far as what should you get for him, right? I think it's more dependent on what you need in a lineup, right? I mean, we have talked about some really good sleepers you'll see on our podcast for Monday, like a Spencer Jones. So say you're looking to move a PCA and you want to look at the route of like a starting pitcher, right? Well, look at Spencer Jones is going to be starting every day while Judge is out. This is going to give him a really good opportunity to stay in that lineup. Why not go out and maybe pick him up? Maybe look to move PCA if you need starting pitching help. The only thing is I don't like it all depends who you're trying to trade with, because everybody values everybody so differently. I'm not a big Acuna guy, so someone would say, hey, listen, I'll give you Acuna for, I don't know, ball schemes or something, something like that. And I would just say, no, I don't like Acuna, but there are PCA guys out there and they'll love PCA. And if you offer something that, you want a decent pitcher for that, you want to maybe bulk up that rotation, or maybe do a 2-for-1 PCA, throw in a decent pitcher and just get a much better pitcher, a more consistent guy, then you can go out and do that. Mm-hmm. That's how I would look at that. I'm you're looking at as far as pitchers and total points and everything. Obviously what you get and what you give are two different things, but there's nothing in my mind where you can't go out and maybe do like I'm looking at the list off the top of my head, and maybe you do want to go out and maybe get a Kevin Gausman, right? That's a fun 1-for-1 right there. He struggles sometimes though, but he's a little more consistent. Or maybe a Logan Gilbert owner just doesn't like Logan Gilbert because he's been so up and down. Maybe you do PCA and somebody else and you get a Logan Gilbert. Like there's options out there. It's just what are you looking for and what do you need? That's all.
Yeah, it's you have to really pinpoint it, and then it's like what these guys can do and can't do, right? Like we talked about what their ceilings can be, but it's about the potential too. I think a PCA for like a Vlad Guerrero, like kind of two guys that were drafted kind of similar rounds, right? We're talking 3rd, 4th, 5th round, and Vlad's not hitting for that power at this point. He's not the same Vlad Guerrero that is 30, 40 home runs. I don't think that's a far-fetched trade. You do?
If it's a 2, I think you'd have to throw in somebody else if you got PCA. I don't think I'd do that straight up.
You wouldn't. So you wouldn't do the PCA. You would say you need someone else in order to get him.
If I had Vlad, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Vlad was a top 3 first baseman off the board. PCA was maybe like a top 15, 20 outfielder. There are differences, I don't think I would do that. Vlad's more consistent. He doesn't strike out as much. Yeah, he doesn't steal bases either. Or, right now I think they might – PCA might even have more home runs. But he's so many strikeouts, dude. I just
think of, when he's hot, he is like –
he's good.
Awesome. And this is coming from a PCA hater.
So let's flip the script real quick and let's talk about a good sell high pitcher. All right? This is a fun one. I own this guy. So I think it's a great sell high for him. Again, there he is. Look at that. Love the stash. Oh, there he is. Bryce Miller, starting pitcher. He has, for Seattle, great year so far. Listen, 2-0, 27 innings pitched, 29 strikeouts, a 1.3 ERA, 62 points. He's giving you 12.6 a start. His last start, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 0 earned, 26 points. Listen, hear me out. Like I said, I'm a Bryce Miller guy. I love him. But can we all agree that he is playing the best baseball of his young career and that these stats are just so unsustainable? The guy's on pace to smash all his career numbers. This is his ceiling. If you want to make the move, now's the time to do it. This is the time. You don't wait until he falls back down to earth like Jose Soriano did. Okay? I drafted Bryce in the 23rd round. Let's not forget he was on the IL at that time. I totally understand that. And he had a really bad season last year. He finished 4-6 with a 5.6 ERA. But I took the gamble, and like most people do with picks in the 20th or later rounds, it's a gamble, and this one paid off. Now it's time to kind of cash in. I think someone drafted that late is a bench guy. It's a depth guy. And since Miller is playing at a must start level right now, that kind of changes the script for him. You know, if you want to ride him out, I don't blame you. Trust me. But if you want to cash in, this is it. Go and get yourself a much needed offensive player. Someone that was probably drafted much, much earlier than Bryce in the 20. The ROI on him right now, to me, is insane. And he's worth way more than what you drafted him at.
1,000%. He has been awesome since coming back from the IL and playing for a pretty decent Seattle team, I feel like, at this point right now. But you're right. It's all about when the timing is right. And I think you nailed it. I think the timing is right now. We've seen Bryce Miller in the past. We've seen him struggle at times. Obviously, he's getting stretched out. But, again, like you just said, Soriano, man, like he was so good, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. And then all of a sudden, where you drafted him, that value is all of a sudden gone. So to Doug's point, it's like, man, that value talk, right? Like you can put him in a 2-for-2 deal. And then if you got guys that you want on the target that you didn't really get set on, but you got Bryce Miller that maybe puts you over the top to maybe even get those guys, you use them in that. That's exactly what you got him for. It's funny. It's June 12th, Doug, and I'm still talking about guys that you want on the target in your drafts. And I mentioned that because we're not even halfway through the season yet. So if you had guys that, obviously the cat's out of the bag with some of them, but if you have a guy that you still want to go out there and get, these are the type of players that you drafted late that you didn't really have high expectations for. And if those are still your guys, utilize them. Utilize these guys in your deals.
Yeah, I totally agree. So this is the fun part. So we talk about selling. Let's talk about buying.
Ooh,
Let's talk about a pitcher, because sometimes I just love to spend and buy. All right. And this name, it's not a sexy name, but it's a consistent name. And I don't think you'll find a more consistent fantasy player that plays multiple positions than this guy right here. I don't think he needs an introduction, does he?
No.
Of course, you know who I'm talking about. Giants first baseman, second baseman, DH, Luis Arias, 85% owned. Great year, 327. Of course, not going to hit your home runs, 2 home runs, 25 ribbies, 35 runs, 13 strikeouts, 5 stolen bases. He's giving you 2.8 a start. His last 7, he's hitting 364. He's only had 2 strikeouts in his last 7 games, 22 points, 3.1. Talk about an off-the-radar fantasy guy. The guy has 13 strikeouts on the year. Let me say that one more time. 13 strikeouts. Last year, he finished with 21. 21.
Wow.
If you love consistency like we do, this is a guy you want. Year in, year out, averages 180, 190 hits, give you about 10 stolen bases, and walks just as many times as he strikes out. In a points league, you can't find someone better that will never, ever hurt you. And he's always drafted just so late. This is around the 10th round, depending on league size. I think this is a guy you can go out and you can get, and he's not going to cost you as much as, say, like a Nico Hornier would. And even like a junior who has less points, plays multiple positions, which is huge. And like I said, the power's not there. You'd wish he'd have stolen bases, but you still can't argue with the production he's putting out. If the power and stolen bases were there, you'd be talking about a top 5, top 4 pick. Okay? They're not. But that doesn't take away from what he's doing. Still, I think the fact he won't kill you in fantasy is enough for me to go out and get him. Again, he's not going to cost you a ton. He's really not.
Yeah, he's not. And it's like vintage. It's like a throwback. He used to be batting champ, and then last year he went through these lulls with San Diego, and it was just kind of weird over there. I don't know what was going on. And then he's kind of found a nice home with San Francisco and just really producing well, and really just I feel like he's found himself again. It's just like we're back. We're back to the same Luis Arias. He is we always talk about ceilings. We always talk about floors with players, right? In fantasy, he's like the floor god. Like you said, he's never going to ever kill you. 13 strikeouts. It's insane. Like, hilarious. Like, it's incredible to even like have over 100 and almost 50 at bats, if not more at this point, and just only strike out 13 times and producing at a very high level, high average, obviously highest in the National League, just a stud. I'm a Luis Ariz guy. I have him in the Bourbon League, very nice spot in my DH role, really productive spot in that role. I'm curious about his future. I don't know if he's going to be there when July 31st comes around. That Giants team is a lot of money. There's a lot of money there, and they spent a lot of capital on Devers and trade. Like there's a lot going on there, and it's not going well. So he's an attractive piece to, I think, a lot of teams that could need a consistent bat in that lineup. It's going to cost them to get I'm talking all-star type player here, but I'm curious if he's going to be in San Francisco by the end of it. That being said, wherever he goes, I think he's hitting. I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. I think he's in a flow state right now. And if you can buy him low, I think you can. If the person doesn't realize the value that he knows that he has of them at the same time too. Now, what kind of player would I be giving up for a Luis Ariz? Now, that's a kind of a whole different question there. Man, I don't know. It's kind of tough.
Speaking of questions, so
yeah,
listen, there was one that was just posted by Joe. He said, my team has a lot of young pitching. He's got Ashcroft, who went today. He's got Schlittler. He's got McLean. I'm on the outside looking in on the playoff. Do I try to move them to avoid the innings restrictions, or do I ride the goodness? Well, there's some good and bad with that, Frank, because I don't know if that's goodness, right? McLean isn't – he's not going out and he's not being a rock star. Ashcraft, last couple starts are pretty good, right? But he's kind of coming back down to earth, right? I think Schlittler is a stud. If that's a keeper league, that's the guy you hold on to. I would probably try to maybe move him around and get a little more consistent with that rotation. I do like Ashcroft. I do like that he is a relief pitcher, starting pitcher eligible. I think that's a boost. I'm not a McLean guy. I know, Mike, you are. You went to go get him in one of our leagues. I'm just not. I know the hype. I know the World Baseball Classic and all that stuff, and I just never. I don't like to buy that type of hype, like World Series hype. I don't buy the World Series hype. I buy what I see, and I'm not saying he's not or gonna be a great pitcher. I think he has the tools to be. I just think maybe he was a little overdrafted based off of those his performance over the World Baseball Classic. I would maybe try to move him. Of all those pitchers, I would try to move him. But with that said, his value is not anywhere near where you drafted him at.
Yeah, you probably drafted, our leagues, I think it was about 12th, 13th round he went in. I think a lot of people had him circled because of, really his performance in that World Baseball Classic. And he's got stuff. He's a stud. Like, he is going to be very good in this league. But obviously the Mets are just playing poor baseball. Their hitting's not great. He's not getting run support at the same time. And he does give up some home runs. Like you said, I'd rather almost get out a vet. And like you said, you have Cam Slitzer, who's out there pitching pretty decent nowadays, and he's going to be there, I think, at the end, and kind of not a household name, but a Carlos Rendon, obviously plays for the Yankees, went 6 innings the other night. I think he had about 5 Ks, gets you quality starts. I mean, and he's going to be playing for a competitive Yankee team too still. Sometimes I don't love to double dip at times, but with having 2 pitchers on the same team because of, maximizing your starts and stuff. But if you're talking quality, I think I'd rather go on that route because, again, at the end of the year, where's McLean going to be? He's going to be capped, like you said. And I think that's, it's a tough one. That's a tough one because, like you said, Doug, I don't know what his value is at this point now because it's kind of shot a little bit, right?
So Joe, my boy Joe, gave us a little more context to it. So he's got Garrett Cole, he's got Logan Gilbert, and he's got Hunter Brown on the IL as well. Hitters all kind of hurt. Appreciate the feedback. Well, Garrett Cole is just going to be up and down. I mean, that's just how he is. He's very unpredictable. He's missed 560 days or so of pitching. The consistency is just not going to be there, right? Logan Gilbert, I think, turned the corner. I own Logan Gilbert. I drafted him pretty early, which kind of bought the hype on that one, unfortunately. But he looks to have turned the corner, and his last 3 starts look really good. Probably should have had a couple more wins. That offense just isn't doing him any favors, right? But Hunter Brown is coming back. He's starting June 15th at home versus Detroit. So I would get him in the lineup. And I told Mike this. I don't like to start players as soon as they come back from injury, but he was hitting 98, 99 during his rehab. He I think his last outing was about 75 pitches. So, I think in that Detroit Tigers offense doesn't scare me, really. I would start Hunter Brown next week. And he could potentially be a 2-start as well if it's a weekly league. I mean, your rotation's good. It's just inconsistencies, and it's with every lineup, right? You're not gonna draft the best, the number one in every category. It's just how it is. But you got a great foundation. Logan Gilbert's turning the corner. Hunter Brown's coming back, and the Astros offense is clicking. Look at today. I mean, you had Jordan hit a home run, and then right after you had Christian Walker hit a home run. So that offense is going to help them win games.
Honestly, it's a pretty good rotation.
Yeah.
If you get a healthy Hunter Brown coming back, that can be a really pretty good rotation. With that kind of background and stuff too, I don't know. I think that's potential. Even looking outside in right now.
All right, so let's talk one more. And this is a pitcher. And this is going to be a fun one, right? Just talked about him.
Whoa.
You're going to want to watch this, Joe, because it's like we were reading minds at the same time, right? This is the man, the myth, the legend of Logan Gilbert. Mariners starting pitcher, 97% owned. Listen to the year. Horrible, horrible year for a guy you drafted so early, right? 4-4, 79 innings pitched, 82 strikeouts, which is good to see. 19 walks, a 3.6 ERA, 133 points, 9.5 a start. 9.5 a start is kind of rough. But last start, this is Baltimore. This is the start. I think, these are the starts he should win, right? 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned, 2 walks. Got a no decision at Baltimore. Only 11.88 points. Should have got the win. Quality start. I was surprised he went out there. I was watching the game. He was at 100, almost 100 pitches when he went out for the 6th. Guy's a hoss.
Yeah.
So I do have him as a buy low because I do think, hey, that window to buy this guy low is really closing fast. 2-0 in his last 4 starts, 23 innings, 25 strikeouts, and just 3 earned. 3 earned in your last 4 starts. This guy should really be 4-0. When I say buy or buy low for him, I mean he's going to cost you someone that was drafted a little later than the 3rd round he was drafted in. But the longer you wait to offer something, the more the price goes up, right? I think as an owner myself, I wanted to sell this guy a month ago. I knew my return would be nowhere near what I paid, so I waited. It's still nowhere near kind of what I paid for it. I don't think I'll get a 3rd round in return. But as the weeks go on, the return goes up. I think if you're in need of an ace, you don't feel like paying the price for an ace, now's the time to go out and get Gilbert. The only thing I hate is that Seattle offense has done him 0 favors in scoring runs. Here's a stat that it'll tell you. 2 of his 4 losses, he gave up just 2 earned in each of those starts. He went 0-2 and just gave up 2 earned in each of those starts. But like I said, he's been pitching better. I'd try and go out and I'd try to buy him now.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I mean, the guy looks like a solid horse, right? I mean, this guy looks like a stud ace, like 6'6", like towers the mound. Like that's your prototypical guy right there. And he has shown flashes of that. I just think he's kind of run into some bad luck, like you said, these last couple starts. So, when you look at the points, yeah, it doesn't look as appealing, 133 points. Some of these guys that are, top 10, top 5 pitchers, they're over 200 points at this point. So he's a little behind the ball on that. But that doesn't mean this second half of the year, he can just go off and take off. Yes, that offense is a little poor right now. But his performance out there that he's pitching, if he can continue that, I think the wins will start coming in. So a buy low here, I think for, when we say buy low too, it's like He's still Logan Gilbert. You're still going to have to pay a little something for him. He still does have good numbers, but you're not going to have to pay premium price like he's been pitching lights out, every week, because he hasn't been. So at this point, I'm cool with a buy low of Logan Gilbert. Doug, you have Logan Gilbert in one of our leagues. If I said, hey, I want Logan Gilbert, what would you be looking back for? That's
are we talking about like a month ago? Or are we talking about today?
I'm talking today. This is real time. He's good.
This is where I would say, well, maybe we could do something with a Vlad Jr. Like, this is where I would say, let's do a 2 for 2. Like, solid first baseman, Vlad Jr. Still a little struggling. Gilbert, a little struggling, right? And then we each add somebody else in to kind of even that trade out. Because I still think Gilbert might be worth maybe a little more than Vlad. But if Vlad's going and he's hitting home runs, I mean, last year he was a top 4, top 3 first baseman. Like, there's nothing to tell me that he can't do it again. It's just inconsistent, and they're both inconsistent at this point. So it wouldn't be a horrible trade to go out and get yourself a first baseman, especially. I mean, first baseman is kind of a deep position now, honestly. And seeing Freddie Freeman come out and he's been mashing lately, and it kind of turned last year's disaster into the back mirror, driving past it. It's good to see. So it's a heavy position, and I think if you want to go out and you want to get a good first baseman because there's so much depth, I mean, that's your bait, a Logan Gilbert. But I think I'm going to hold him because pitching in our league is, I mean, if you get points for quality starts, obviously points for wins. So if he can go out and he showed me, he went out there and pitched almost over 100 pitches for the 6th and got the quality start. That's a rarity, and that's what you want in a pitcher, especially an ace, someone who has 95 pitches but still goes out there in the 6th. That's what Chris Sale does. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, again, his offense doesn't bail him out, and that's going to cost you, and it stinks.
And it sucks that you have to even look at that, right? You should just look at the player, evaluate the player, and you should just be like, yep, this guy's going to be really good for me. Unfortunately, you do have to look at the teams that they play on. This is how it goes. It happens in every sport.
But yeah, man. All right, that was it, man. That was the first show, Bourbon N Ball, here on FSAN. For Mikey V, I'm Doug. We'll come back to you again live next Friday, and I think Mikey V, you're going to be on the side of me next Friday. You're coming.
I'll be right next to you next week. That is right. I will be live in Foxborough next week.
Love it. So again, live next Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Same thing. We're going to be talking, taking questions. Same exact format. Tune in, give us a like, subscribe. Same thing with FSAN. And again, watch our Must Start show on Monday mornings. So for Mikey V, I'm Doug. Thank you very much. Have a good night.